methods. Uh, One basic algorithm is DB scan algorithm. DB scan means the abbreviation density based spatial clustering of applications with noise. The name itself indicates we are doing clustering based on density. So it is density based, number of points together. So it is based on that density. It depends on the density, number of points together. That is nothing but the density. So density is nothing but when number of points are very near, very thick. So many elements are present within a small space. Then we can say that is high density. A data set has data set is a capable of containing consisting of it is capable of containing 10 elements. It contain 9 10 elements like that. We will say that is a high density. So that is capable of 10 elements. Only that contains 2 3 elements. So then that is a low density. Density is nothing but within space number of elements are presented. More number of elements are presented. More number of objects are presented. So then the density is high within the cluster. So when less number of elements are presented, so less number of elements are presented, so then that is a low density. So high density, low density. A data set is said to be high density if number of elements are high. A data set is said to be it is having low density when number of elements are less in that particular data set. Number of elements are less in that particular cluster. Okay. So in the DB scan method, what we will do? So see here, number of elements are there na, in data set. So we have to calculate, we have to categorize each and every object, each and every element into 3 categories. This is a very main important thing in a DB scan. First, you have to examine each and every data point, each and every object. We have to categorize each and every object, either it is related to core point, border point, or noise point. Each point that belongs to these 3 points within the entire data set, every point should belongs to these 3 categories. It may be core point or border point or noise point. Okay. So then we will see what is meant by core point, what is meant by border point, what is meant by noise point. We will see. The core point is nothing but that is the blue circle represents the core point. In figure, you can observe the blue squares. Blue squares are there, na? 3 blue squares are there. So those 3 blue squares are the core points. Next, black circles are border points. Black circles are border point. The dashed circle represents the cluster. The dashed circle represents the cluster. Next, white circle represents noise point. These are the 3 points uh, in the data set. The data set consists of these 3 points, 3 types of points. One is core point, one is border point, one is noise point. The core point is nothing but the square, blue color square, that is the core point. So when the point is said to be core point, when the object is said to be core point, is just you have to consider the point and you have to take epsilon as the radius. Epsilon as the radius you have to take from the point, from the object which you have initially taken. From that point you just take epsilon radius. Epsilon radius you take and draw a circle. Okay. So draw a circle for that particular object or point. So then in that circle, if 3 elements are there other than this, if 3 elements are there, then we can say this is a core point. Okay. When we can tell this is core point, just any object, just choose every object, you have to test for this core point. Every object, it is core point or not, you have to test them. For that, what you have to do, just take the object and take epsilon radius. So with epsilon radius, just draw a circle. With dashed lines, we represented a circle. Just draw a circle. In that circle, if 3 points are there, more than 3 points are also allowed. 3 points or more than 3 points is nothing but that is core point. So if less than 3 points are there, except this only 2 points are there, then that is not core point. Okay. So here why we are taking the points as 3 now? Minimum points we taken as 3. Let us we consider the minimum point we taken as 3. That's why within the epsilon radius 3 objects should be there. With epsilon radius, if you draw a circle, you have to get three objects within that circle. Then only we can say that is a core point. In the same way, you just examine each and every object. We are having three circles. Now take first circle. Just the blue color square is nothing but the core point. From that core point with epsilon radius, you drawn a circle. Within that circle, 3 points are there. That's why that is called as core point. Second circle also same, blue square. So with epsilon radius, just you have drawn the circle. The circles may intercept. Okay, the circles may merge with other. Okay, these two circles are merging. So like that, these other two circles are also merging. Like that, number of circles may merge. So but we have to consider that at each and every circle, in each and every circle with epsilon radius, if you have drawn a circle, within that circle 3 elements should be existed. Like that we have to proceed. In the third uh, circle also, from the blue square, we with epsilon radius we drawn a circle. So in that circle we get three points, three objects. It is also said to be a cluster. Sorry, it is also a cluster. So this point is also said to be core point. Okay, with epsilon radius you are drawing a circle. Within that, minimum points is 3. That's why here points should be restricted to 3. If minimum points 2 now, so then within that circle 2 points are there, that is core point. Okay, so that is a cluster, and within that 2 points are there now. This is blue square is nothing but a core point. We have to take the minimum points, and within that circle we have to get the minimum points. Then only we can say that is a core point. If we have randomly taken a point, you just take another black color circle is there now, you just taken that point. What you have done with epsilon radius, you just draw a circle for that particular black circle. So within that circle there are no 3 elements. So other than this element, there are no 3 elements. That's why it is not said to be a core point. When it is not said to be a core point, then it is said to be a border point. So then what is the difference between noise point and border point? That we will see. In any circle it is there now. In any circle it is there. So and with that particular object we are not getting 3 other points with epsilon radius, then that is border point. If it is not at all related to any circle, it is not at all related to any circle, it is not at all related to any cluster, then we can say that is a noise point. Okay, so then we can say that is noise point. Here 3 types of points are there: core point, border point, noise point. I hope you understood difference between core point, border point and noise point. So core point is nothing but with epsilon radius, if you have drawn a circle along with that object, we have to get 3 other points within that circle, then that is core point. Border point is nothing but with epsilon radius, if you are not getting 3 points, then that is border point. Noise point is nothing but you are not related to, that point is not at all related to any cluster, so it is far away from all other clusters. Within the circle we are not getting any other variable, any other object here, any other object, any other point, then that is said to be noise point. So this is clustering. In this way we can do clustering in a dbScan method. So see, arbitrary select a point P. Just we are selecting a point, any point you can select. Retrieve all points density reachable from P with respect to epsilon and minimum points. You are taking epsilon and minimum points. What you are doing along with P, just you are drawing a circle with epsilon radius. In that the minimum points are satisfied or not, that is nothing but all points density reachable from P or not. You are seeing the points are density reachable When we can say that is density reachable, minimum points it should contain. For example, minimum points 3, now 3 points it should contain. Within that circle 3 points are there, then no problem. That is a cluster. So within circle 3 points are not there. So that is not density reachable. When we can say density is good, the number of points are there within that particular area, within that circle, within that cluster with epsilon radius. You have drawn a circle. Epsilon is that may be 2 centimeters, that may be 3 centimeters, like that. You just drawn a circle. Within that you get some minimum points, 3 points or 4 points, like that. Then it is density reachable. Then it is having the good density. Okay, so it is not having the points, it may not having the minimum points. If it is having only 2 points or 1 point, so then we cannot take it as a cluster. Why? Because the density reachable is important. Retrieve all points density reachable from P. See here, for each and every point you just have to draw a circle, and 3 points are not coming or not, you are checking. In that way you are checking for each and every point that is density reachable or not. Retrieve all point density reachable from P with respect to epsilon radius and the minimum points. If P is core point, a cluster is formed. Okay, so if P is a core point, what here we are seeing blue color square. So within that circle we are getting the minimum points. Then we can say that is a core point. P is a border point when no points are density reachable from P. Okay, so we are not getting the minimum number of points. We are not getting the minimum number of points. Here points means minimum number of points. So then that is not density reachable. That's why minimum number of points not getting means that is not density reachable. We can say density if number of points are there. So here we define the number of points are 3. So we may define the number of points as 5, number of points as 4. So then within that circle the number of points condition should be satisfied. DBSCAN visits the next point of the database. Okay, so then the DBSCAN visits the next point. So if at each and every point you have to apply the same technique. Either it is core point, border point, or noise point. For each and every point you have to check the process. You have to check it belongs to which category. Continue the process until all of the points have been processed. You have to continue the process. This all the points you have to examine. All the points you examine such that it related to core point, border point, or noise point. You have to categorize all the points within the data set. So up to that you will proceed. So that is DBSCAN algorithm. See here, DBSCAN algorithm main advantage is, see here, it allows the arbitrary shapes. It allows nested clusters also. See here, this is one cluster, outside this is other cluster. We can represent in DBSCAN. It is having advantages than k-means, such that in k-means we cannot divide like this. Within one cluster, other cluster is there now. Then also we can divide as shown in the figure only. First part, that is one cluster. Second part, that is one cluster. Left side one cluster, right side one cluster. Or you can divide upper side one cluster, lower side one cluster. Like that only you can divide in k-means algorithm. You cannot divide in k-means algorithm interleaved objects. So the cluster is like this, one circle within another circle. You cannot represent differently. You cannot represent exactly. So that is also other thing is also it not allows V shape. K means not allows V shape. Then what happen if any V shape comes? So you just divide upper part, lower part, or left part, or right part only. You cannot divide the cluster arbitrary shape. So exactly you can observe in a DBSCAN, orange color is one cluster, blue color is one cluster. So then in DBSCAN we can represent clearly, but in k-means we cannot represent clearly. In k-means we can just divide left side, that is the top side one cluster, bottom side one cluster, like that one. Or left side one cluster, right side one cluster, that is one. That is the drawback of k-means algorithm. Okay, so k-means we cannot represent like this exactly accurate result. In DBSCAN we can represent like this. If the interleaved objects are there, if the merged objects are there, So then also we can represent clusters efficiently, correctly. So that is a DB scans and a k-means algorithm. About the k-means algorithm drawback has been rectified by the DB scan algorithm, density based clustering. Okay. Next, grid-based clustering method. Next method is grid-based. So what is meant by grid? Grid is nothing but number of the square. If the square we have taken, that is divided into number of smaller parts. Okay. So here the grid is, for example, if the computer screen it contains, so it is a square now. So what will happen? The grid representation mean each and every pixel you have to represent. So that is 1024 by 1024, 1024 rows and 1024 columns. That is the representation of a screen. Here also like this, in grid based method, what will happen? From higher level to lower level, in higher level, in the top level, what happen? The square will represent. In the next level, we will divide the square into two parts. In the next level, first part divided into two parts, second part divided into two parts. That means totally four. In the next level, so in the next level, from top to bottom, I am saying at the top level that is a single square. Next level that is a two parts. In next level that is four parts. In next level that is eight parts. Like that, from top to bottom, you are dividing the screen into again and again and again smaller parts. That is nothing but grid based clustering. So the cluster is nothing but here smaller part you divided, so that is nothing but a cluster. Okay, so in grid based clustering, the smaller part you divided, that is nothing but clustering. In that way, you can divide the higher level data square into number of sub level. Okay, in next level you can divide into two parts, in next level four parts, like that. When you are going to bottom part, you will get the as many as possible small number of portions you can get. That is the grid based clustering method. In grid based clustering, what you have done, from top to bottom, you are combining the data. You are here from top to bottom, you are dividing the data. So from bottom to top, we have taken from small point. So then it is from bottom to up, it is combining. Okay, from top to bottom, it is dividing. So at higher level, top level, one square, next to two, next to four, next to eight, like the dividing. Not in the same fashion. It may alter. The higher level, that is a single square, so or single rectangle. In the next level, that may be three. In the next level, that may be six. In the next level, that may be 10, like that. Some parts may divide, some parts may not be divided, like that. The grid based means that the grid base, you are forming cluster based on this principle. The grid based clustering approach uses multi resolution grid data structure. Multi resolution, multiple resolutions, number of resolutions are there. It quantizes the object space into finite number of cells that form a grid structure on which all of the operations for clustering are performed. It quantizes the object space into finite number of cells. The object space is divided into number of cells that form a grid structure on which all of the operations for the clustering are performed. So on which number of operations are performed. The main advantage of approach is it's a fast processing time. The advantage of grid based method is in the required level you can take the data. Okay, so if you have in the first level, that is the in the top level, you can get the combined cluster, combined data set. In the lower level, if you are going during while you are going to lower level, you will get the divided clusters, small subsets you will get. So that is the advantage of this approach. Fast processing time, the processing will be done fastly. Grid clustering approaches. There are three approaches: Sting, wave cluster, click. These are the three approaches. Sting, which explores statistical information stored in grid cells. In grid cells, what we are storing? Statistical information. Statistical means count, mathematical information, how many number of how many number of parts are there in that particular grid cell. So like that you are storing statistical information, mathematical information, that is a string. Next, in wave cluster, which clusters objects using wavelet transform method? Which clusters objects? The objects can be divided into number of clusters. So using a wavelet transform method. Here the clustering can be done using a wavelet transform method. The data can be divided into different parts using wavelet. So what is meant by wavelet? Wavelet is nothing but the signal can be divided into the signal. So that may be the audio signal. Okay. So the speech data. While I am speaking the data that is reachable to you through some medium, through some MS Teams app now. So that is the input can be taken in the form of audio signal. Here what happened, the signal can be divided. The signal can be divided into smaller subbands. Each and every subband is nothing but wavelet. So wavelet is nothing but signal. A signal divided into number of subparts. Each and every subpart is a wavelet transform. Okay. Next, click. Click also another grid clustering method which represents a grid and density based approach for clustering in high dimensional data space. It represents a grid based and density based approach. So click is a combination of both. In density based approach, what we have already seen, how we are dividing clusters, how we are taking the points, number of points within that particular place, within that particular circle, then we can say that is cluster, that is core point, like that we are considering. So here in grid we are following the other method like from higher level to lower level, dividing into number of cells. Here the click is a combination of grid and density based method. So in grid based method, first we will see sting. Sting means the name itself indicates. In sting, ST means statistical, IN means information, G means grid approach. Statistical information grid approach. Sting means statistical information grid approach. What we are doing, the name itself indicates. In grid, each and every smaller cell, we are storing statistical information. Statistical information grid approach means in small grid, in every grid, we are storing statistical information. That's why it is called statistical information grid approach. Each cell at a higher level is partitioned into number of smaller cells in the next lower level. See here, hierarchical structure. It looks like the hierarchical clustering method. Na? In hierarchical clustering also, from higher level to lower level, what you are doing? Dividing. Okay. So it looks like that structure, hierarchical structure. Why? Because the higher level is partitioned into smaller cells. Again, in the next level, those can be subdivided into again smaller cells. Again, those can be subdivided into smaller cells. Like that, the process can be continued. Statistical information of each cell is calculated and stored beforehand and is used to answer queries. So at each and every cell, at each and every small cell, small grid, we are storing statistical information. The statistical information is calculated and stored and is used to answer the queries. Any queries are there, we applied queries now, we given queries. So then we can get answers for those queries using the statistical information. Any query you applied, we can retrieve the data, we can just apply the query on this grid based clustering method. At each and every cell you are having statistical information. For that query you can easily we can get the answer for that. Why? Because you are having the statistical information, mathematical information. Any query applied, you can retrieve the answer. Parameters of higher level cells can be calculated from parameters of lower level cell. From lower level cell, you can get the higher level cell values. Why? Because in lower level cell, you are having the mathematical information. Then that is combined with the number of cells, and we are going to higher level now. So then the higher level data also you can calculate from the parameters of the lower level cell. At each and every cell, we are storing statistical information. That is the major advantage of this string method. Why? Because at each and every cell you are storing, if you applied a query, so at any cell just it can extract the data from that particular cell. It takes the data and calculate the higher level data, and it can give the answer for the query. Count, mean, standard deviation, minimum value, maximum value are the statistical variables. These are the statistical variables. You know already. Count value, mean value, that is the average value. S is the standard deviation. You have to calculate minimum of all variables, maximum of all variables. These all we can calculate easily using string method, using string clustering approach. Type of distribution it adopts is normal, uniform. Two types of distribution, that normal distribution, uniform distribution. Two types are there. So uniform means all are equally. So otherwise you can distribute normally also. Uses top-down approach to answer spatial data queries. For spatial data queries, it follows top-down approach. It is having two approaches now, as like in hierarchical clustering, bottom-up approach and top-down approach. Two approaches are there. It uses a top-down approach to answer spatial data queries. Top-down approach from higher level to lower level. That is a top-down approach. To answer spatial data queries, it uses a top-down approach. Start from a pre-selected layer with a small number of cells. Start from a pre-selected layer. From any layer to next level, lower level layer, you can go. For each cell in the current level, compute the confidence interval. For each cell in the current level, at each level you can go to any cell and you can compute the confidence interval. So remove the irrelevant cells from the from further consideration. That is for further consideration. Irrelevant cells, those cells are not at all relevant to the data. You are having the statistical information in each and every cell now. That's why it is not related to cluster. You can just remove that. When finish examining the current layer, proceed to the next lower level. Okay, that when you are finishing the current layer, okay, then when you finish the current layer, then you proceed to the next lower level. It is the top down, then that's why first level. Next you can go to second level, third level, fourth level, fifth level. Like that you can go from top level to bottom level. And repeat this process until the bottom layer is reached. See here, the process is top down. Simple. The process is top down. That's why you have to come from top layer to bottom level layer. Top layer to bottom layer. We have to go further and further. So what are the advantages of string method? What are the drawbacks of string method? The grid-based computation is query independent. Okay, so the grid-based grid you are calculating, the cell you are calculating, that is query independent. Okay, so that is statistical information you are storing at each and every cell. From that you can get query answers. Okay, so but that grid calculation, that grid partition cannot be done based on query. Just it is done step by step in a top-down approach. The grid at each and every grid, every cell, the statistical information stored, it is divided, subdivided into number of parts. You can get from you can get to lower level layer, from higher level layer. The grid-based computation is query independent. So it is query independent. When you apply query, it gives result. Okay. So based on query, it will not be processed. It will not be divided. Fast in processing, because the statistical information stored in each cell represents the summary information of the data. It is fast processed by, because at each and every cell you are having statistical information. No need to go for all the cluster. No need to go for entire cluster. You just go to one part and you can get the entire data. Any cell you can go and you can calculate the higher level data. You can get the entire data. That's why it is fast processing. The grid structure facilitates parallel processing and incremental updating. The grid structure facilitates parallel processing. It is parallel processing. Why? Because the upper level layer, it is divided into three parts like that. Okay, next it is subdivided. Next it is subdivided. So that it is looks like parallel processing, so and also incremental updating. From higher level to lower level, when you are going, the grids count is increasing. The grids count is increasing. You are in, dividing the data into number of grids. Number of cells count is increasing. That's why it is called as incremental updating. Incremental updating, from top to down, you are dividing the square into two square, next two squares into four squares, like that again and again you are dividing. That's why it is incremental updating. This is parallel processing. Why? Because parallelly you can process number of grids at a time. So the data can be divided into subdivided into next level, several parts. Again, it divided into two parts, divided into four parts divided into eight, like that. It is a that's why it facilitates the parallel processing and incremental updating. The method's efficiency is major advantage. The advantage is efficiency. It is fast processing and it is having efficiency. Why? Because the main reason is statistical information is there at each and every cell. The time complexity of generating clusters is big O of n. The time complexity of the clusters is big O of n, where n is the total number of objects. Where n is the total number of objects, the time complexity is O of n. Next, the query processing time is, for a given query, the processing time is big O of g. G is the total number of grid cells at the lowest level. See here, G is nothing but at the bottom level, lower level, how many number of parts are there, how many number of grids are there. The query processing time is that, big O of g. But the time complexity is total number of objects, how many number of objects are there in the cluster, how many number of objects are there. That is the time complexity of this string method. Okay, time complexity of generating n clusters is big O of n. Okay, sorry, generating clusters is big O of n. N is nothing but objects. Okay, here using n objects, you have to create some k number of clusters. Okay, so query processing time is big O of g. So these all are the advantages of a string method. Statistical information grid approach method. Disadvantages: all the cluster boundaries are either horizontal or vertical, and no diagonal boundary is detected. All the cluster boundaries are horizontal or vertical. They may be either horizontal or vertical, no diagonal. So you can see the data divided like this. No? So square is at the higher level. You can see the figure, you can observe clearly. So see the figure here. In this figure, at the top you can observe the square. So in the next level, it is divided to two parts. In the next level, again 8 parts, 4 parts, like that. Here, if you have taken this figure, in the higher level, single square. So in the next level, it is subdivided, and in this level you can observe 1, 2, 3. In vertically 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. Horizontally 3 parts. Vertical 3 parts, horizontal 3 parts. How many parts? This is 9 parts. In the next level, again it is subdivided. Each and every subpart in 9 parts, each and every subpart is divided into 4 parts. At the bottom layer, you can observe it is the bottom layer, it is the middle layer, some middle layer, or you can say I minus 1 first, I minus 1th layer. This is the ith layer, I minus 1, that is the I minus first layer. So this is first layer. Okay, second layer, third layer, fourth layer, and so on. I minus 1 layer. So finally, ith layer. Okay. So in this way, you can dividing the data into subparts again and again. The disadvantage is all the clusters boundaries are horizontal vertical. You are dividing only horizontal or vertical only, na? So you are not dividing diagonally. In the figure you can observe you are not dividing diagonally. You are just divided horizontally 3 parts, vertical 3 parts, total 9 parts. In I minus 1 cluster, how many parts? 9 parts. Vertical 3 parts, horizontal 3 parts, 3 by 3, 9 parts. Only horizontal vertical, no diagonal. That is a drawback, one drawback. Next, this leads to low quality and accuracy of the clusters. Okay, the drawback of this method is it is when coming to advantages, it is fast processing, it is immediately give the result. Okay, it is parallel processing, it is incremental updating, So it is good. Okay, so but when coming to drawbacks, it, quality wise it is low. It is giving fast result, but it is not giving 100% accurate result. It is not giving. Coming to other methods, it is fast, it is giving result quickly, time complexity is good for this sting method, but drawback is lower quality and lower accuracy of the clusters. So in grid-based clustering method, the other method is wave cluster method. So what is meant by wave cluster? Already I told you, no? Wave cluster is nothing but the signal is divided into number of sub signals. The signal is divided into number of sub bands. Okay, so again that is divided into number of subparts. Okay, each and every subpart is called as wavelet transform, that we call as wavelet. Each and every small part is a wavelet here. Okay, wave cluster is nothing but these wavelets combination is nothing but wave cluster. Okay, this wavelet combination is nothing but wave cluster. A multi-resolution clustering approach which applies wavelet transform to the feature space. The feature space for the square, the data set, you are applying the wavelet transform data. Wavelet transform is the other technique. In image processing, wavelet transform is a familiar approach we will use for several applications. For several applications in digital image processing, we will use wavelet transforms. Here, for clustering, we are using wavelet transformation method. Okay, so how we are applying? Just you have to apply the wavelet transform method, the principle, to here, to this feature space. A wavelet transform is a signal processing technique that decomposes a signal into different frequency subbands. Wavelet transform is a signal processing technique. Okay, it is a signal processing technique. What it will do? The data can be divided. The signal here, that what is data? Here in wavelet transform, the data is a signal. The signal is divided into frequency, different frequency subbands like that. Okay, so the frequency may or may not equal. It divides the signal into different subparts. Each and every subpart frequency compared with other may or may not equal. So like that, it will divide. The principle can be used here in grid-based clustering. In this wave cluster, grid-based clustering, in this wave clustering, you are using the principle of wavelet transform. How the frequency subbands came from signal, from a single signal, number of different frequency subbands came. In the same way, here the data can be, that data set can be divided into different clusters. Each and every cluster may contain different subset of elements. It uses features of both grid-based and density-based clustering. So in this wave cluster, we are using grid-based and density-based. Two approaches we are using. Wave cluster is capable of handling up to 20 dimensions. This wave cluster maximum capacity is 20 dimensions. Okay, it is supportable to high dimensions. Up to which number of dimensions it supports is nothing but 20 dimensions. So input parameters. What are the input parameters for this wave cluster? Number of grid cells for each dimension, number of grid cells for each dimension, number of x dimension, y dimension, number of dimensions are there. For each dimension, you have to give the number of grid cells. How many grid cells are there? That you are giving as the input parameter. The wavelet and the number of applications of wavelet transform. The number of applications of a wavelet transform, that is the wavelet, that is also giving as input parameter for this wave cluster. Okay, so you can observe the data can be divided like this. The data can be formed clusters in this way. You can observe it is combined. In K-means we cannot do like this. Okay, as DB scan method. DB scan method is having the advantage of like this. Arbitrary shape of clusters can be formed in DB scan. Na? So in this wave cluster method, we are applying two approaches. We are using two approaches. Grid based approach we are forming. You are dividing the data into number of cells. See here in this figure you observe the data can be divided to 1 2 3 4 4 4 8 12 16 16 parts, that is 16 grids. Here the grid based method is applied, and also in wave cluster we are using the density based method. See here, based on density it is cluster 1. Again in that other cluster is nested na, is second cluster. Next in third cluster, fourth cluster is nested. So this is totally divided into 4 clusters na, based on density we are dividing. Based on grid, based on density we are dividing the data into clusters. You are using the principle of wavelet transform. That's why it is called as wave cluster. Okay, so wave cluster is nothing but it simply uses the principle of wavelet transform. It is the grid based clustering method. That's why we divide the data into number of grid cells, and we divided the data into number of clusters based on density. So this is the process of wave cluster. In this way the wave cluster can be formed. How to apply wavelet transform to find clusters? Summarizes the data summarizes the data by imposing multi-dimensional grid structure onto data space. It summarizes the data. Here multi-dimensional grid structure, it allows number of dimensions up to 20 dimensions it allows now. So wavelet transform we can apply on clusters. We can find the clusters by summarizing the data. How we can summarize multi-dimensional on multi-dimensional grid structure? You are imposing summarizing the data, imposing the combining the data. So in the data space in multi dimensions, just you can combine the data and you can form clusters. These multi-dimensional spatial data objects are represented in a n-dimensional feature space. So these multi-dimensional spatial data objects are represented in n-dimensional. Here n is 20, up to 20 it is good. Okay, so here n is 20. Multi-dimensional structure. That structure, that data you are representing in n-dimensional feature space. Maximum n is 20 dimensional feature space you can represent. Apply wavelet transform on feature space to find dense regions in the feature space. You have to apply wavelet transform. In wavelet transform you are having the formula principle. So how the signal divided into frequencies of bands, like that here also using that principle, that wavelet transform you have to apply to the feature space, and you have to divide the data into dense regions. The feature space is divided into dense regions. How the signal is divided into different frequencies of bands. Apply wavelet transform multiple times. You are applying wavelet transform multiple times, which result in clusters at different scales. At each and every time you will get different cluster. At one time if you apply wavelet transform, first time you will get a cluster of 10 points, 10 points in one cluster, 10 points, 10 points like that. Sometime we get 11.9 points like that. So in other time you get 8 points, 9 points like that. Different clusters you will get. Why is wavelet transformation useful for clustering? How this wavelet transformation principle we are applying on this clustering you have already seen. So above are the steps to apply wavelet transform to finding the clustering, to forming the clustering. Okay, so then how it is useful, why it is useful means this wavelet transform is useful clustering. Why? Because this wavelet transform also unsupervised clustering. That means it is unsupervised learning comes under. Clustering is purely unsupervised learning method. So this wavelet transformation is also unsupervised learning method. So the unsupervised clustering we are doing. So that's why it is useful. Next, it uses hat-shaped filters. In wavelet transform, you can observe. So you once go through wavelet transformation topic, then you can observe here the elements can be represented. The graph can be represented hat shape. In hat, higher level that represents number of points are high. number of points are high means along the y-axis you are having the more value. Then that looks like a increment from lower level to from 0 to higher level. By for example 1000, the value from 0 to 1000, again from 1000 to it will be decreased. The part, so the in hat shaped part in the y-axis where you are getting the higher value, that is nothing but high density value. Where you are getting lower value along x-axis 0 value, that is the lowest value, that is the lower value. In that way you can divide the data into low density, high density. When you are getting low density, that part you are removed. When you are getting higher y value, that part you are taking. That is high density, that part you are taking. In that way you can divide the data. It uses hat-shaped filters to emphasize the region where points cluster, but simultaneously to suppress weaker information in their boundary. In boundary, you are having the lower y values, lesser y values. For x value, for some 10, it is having the 0. From 0, for x value from 1 to 10, y value is 0. For 11, it is y value is some 1, next 2, next 3, like that it is increasing. Again it is decreasing. For which x values y value is high, that you are considering. For which x values y values also 0 or 1 only, that part you are removing. So in that way you can find out the cluster, density cluster. Okay. So for which points, for which x values y value is high, that is the highest density part that you are taking. Effective removal of outliers. In this way you can remove the boundary points. Boundary points is nothing but density is low. Density is low, nothing but when we can say the density is low, number of points are less. Number of points are less in a space, then what we can say, that is outlier, that is noise. In a space you are having only 1 or 2 points, then that is nothing but noise or outlier. You can easily identify the noise outlier, you can just remove that. Multi-resolution. It is a multi-resolution technique. Cost efficiency. It is cost efficiency. Why? Because you are applying grid-based method, you are following grid-based method, you are following density-based approach, and you are also following multi-resolution processing. Okay, so effective removal of outliers you are getting through this wavelet transformation technique. You are getting effective removal of outliers. That's why it is cost effective. Okay. What are the major features of this wavelet transform method, wave cluster method? So complexity is big of n. Next, detect arbitrary shaped clusters at different scales. At each and every level, we will get different shaped clusters. Okay, so at that particular level, that cluster is okay. So in the first level, top level, only one cell. Okay, in second level, you are having some 3 cells. In next level, you are having 9 cells. In next 18. Okay, in third level you are having 9 cells. Those 9 cells are divided into 5, 4, like that, 2 clusters. Okay, so in the next level 18 objects are divided into 5, 5, 4, 4, like that. At each and every level, based on the number of cells, the clustering can be done. Based on the number of cells, the data can be divided into clusters. You can get a number of clusters that differs at each and every level. Next, not sensitive to noise. It can easily identify the noise. In the graph, for which x values you are getting y value as 0 or 1, that is the boundary point. Those boundary points is just remove, neglect. So those are nothing but the noise points or outlier points or the irrelevant values, you can say. Not sensitive to input order. You can give any input, it will take. Okay, for input order, it is not sensitive. Okay, you can give input in any form. Only applicable to low dimensional data. For low dimensional data, it is applicable. Upper limit is 20 dimension. Okay, so but lower dimensional data, it will give some more good result when compared with the higher dimensions. It supports up to 20 dimensions, but for lower dimensions, for low dimensional data, it is good. For low dimensional data, it gives the good result. Okay, this is about grid based clustering method. In the next class, we will see the model based clustering method and outlier analysis. The both topics we will see in the next class. Okay. So now I am closing this class. In the next class, we will see the model based method and outlier analysis both.